And it happens to be also the anniversary of the... Oh, nice. The anniversary of the January 6th thing. What's up, guys? Am I live? I think it's live. Am I live? I think I am. What's up, guys? It is 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time. I'm used to saying daylight time because most of the year we do. Tuesday, January 4th, 2021 AD. What's up, everybody? Got your 6. Nice. Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I have a fun show, I think, for you guys, and you can call in, and I will get to your calls this time. Apologies, some of the last callers I was not able to get to. I was running my big mouth too much. Bobby Rush is a joke. I will talk about that. Lots of insults upon the real American people, the whites, the Christians, the sensible people, the straights, the normals, you know. The vax refusers, some of them. Some normal people probably got vaccinated, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it may be wise for some people to get it, okay? Children with the China virus, all that hype turned out to be fake, and we knew it was fake from the start. I knew it was, anyway. For the most part. For some, it may have harmed some, especially if they're morbidly obese. And mass murder, no problem. They want to ban, what's that thing called? Nuclear weapons, but let's do abortions. Mass murder by the hands of a doctor and a woman is fine. And, of course, the January 6th melodrama. Anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how are you guys doing? Hake is a vaxtard, confirmed. What's up, Anthony Demolon Bartollet? Nice to see ya. I'm losing my voice already. I'm fine, and I hope you are too. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We are continuing to celebrate Christmas and New Year, especially Christmas, because Christmas continues through January 6th, I hear. Epiphany is January 6th. That's why this week I am playing Sufjan Stevens, the liberal, who's not very Christian, but he's supposed to be a Christian, and whatever. What a mess. Typical, right? All musicians. I don't know. You know, I forgot to mention, I was on the third rail last week during Christmas vacation. No, not winter break, Christmas vacation. The third rail with Omar. It's a relatively newish, growing YouTube channel hosted by Omar Jarrallah. I forgot exactly how you pronounce it, but he's a Muslim guy, or a secularist type of a Muslim guy, liberal, immigrant, Yemeni immigrant from New York. He's a New Yorker in his early 40s. I think he came as a young man or a child. He's a liberal, but he says he's against communism and socialism. I have the thumbnail from that interview, and you can find that. It's on my website, thehakereport.com/appearances, and it's also in my playlist on YouTube under media appearances or interviews or whatever. On December 28th, he interviewed me live. He switched up the link, so it was kind of hard to put out and share because he's kind of a little bit, kind of like me, but maybe a little bit worse, a little bit of a boomer in terms of knowing what to do and how to configure like YouTube and technology stuff, right? We're not used to all this mess. Before I get into this Bobby Rush is a joke and a phony black preacher, did you know thing, let me first get to a call or two, guys, because I didn't get to you guys and I feel I owe you. Omar's a good sport. Yeah, for sure. I really liked talking with him. By the way, before I get to the call or calls, one thing that I really appreciated was that he interviews like everybody, even though he's a liberal. He interviews conservatives or normal people. He interviewed that guy from No More News, KNOW, No More News. Blanking on his name all of a sudden. Adam Green, I think. And that was really my first real introduction to Adam Green. I'd seen clips of him. I'd heard him promoted. People are like, yeah, he's good. Or some people are, I don't know if I've ever heard a bad thing about him, honestly. But I got to understand like what he's about and why, how he got into what he got into, Adam Green. Nice. And so I watched that whole interview between those two guys. It was actually kind of an agree fest because this guy's Yemeni, and so he's not a fan of Israel. So they're both like bashing Israel and Israel's influence. The Jewish influence in America. It was interesting though. Very cool. Check that out. I said No More News, which you can, but The Third Rail with Omar. He interviewed Hake, and he interviewed Adam Green and many others. Nice. Let me get to Mike in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mike, thank you for calling, man. How are you doing?
Hey, Hake, how's it going, man? I'm just swell.
Nice. It's going well for me, too.
I like that you called it Nevada instead of Nevada.
How do you pronounce it?
It's Nevada. To anybody
Nice.
that lives here. Yeah.
Yeah, why do people call it Nevada? Hoity-toity.
I'm not sure, but it's pretty widespread. Like, if you're watching any news report it's not from here, they all call it Nevada.
Wow. I never really noticed the distinction, and I do notice things like that sometimes. But, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Nevada.
Yeah, so let Jesse know it's Nevada. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, I found it, got scam callers. I was listening yesterday. Great show, by the way.
Thanks.
And they had a caller call in. I think it was in the second hour. He was talking about the Pentecostal Apostolics.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, dude. And my best friend, he was going to that church for a while, and then he stopped going. He started going again. And I never realized, everything that he was saying was true, but I didn't realize to what degree. And when he was talking, man, it was like an eye opener because it just manifests through my buddy.
Yeah,
and I find I don't discourage him from going. To me, it's like whatever works for you, man. You got to figure it out for yourself. So
right.
But no, I found it very interesting. So whoever that caller was, thanks for the insight.
Yeah.
Also,
that was Bob from Chicago, right after my music
Bob.
break. Yeah, Bob from Chicago, I believe. He talked about he clarified what the oneness doctrine is, which I think is a false doctrine.
What did he call himself or people that
I think that he said, and I'm not really a fan of this term, but he said that I'm probably this way if he understands me right. Something Unitarian, which I don't like the sound of that. It sounds like a liberal word, but he didn't sound like a liberal to me. But I think he called himself like something Unitarian, if I remember correctly, or if I heard him correctly.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting but he's right. Like, I remember my buddy, I've been sending him Jesse stuff all year.
Yeah.
And he was like, I guess this church was shut down for the COVID. So he called in and he three-wayed to me and he's like, why don't you listen in? And I'm like, well, I can't expect you to take time for the stuff I'm sending you if I'm not willing to do the same.
Okay.
So I was sitting there listening to the call, and the first thing I noticed was the preacher was so emotional when he was talking, and that really turned me off. Like, to me, that's what liars do. They get
Yeah.
really emotional when they're trying to convince you of something.
I
And he's like,
I can picture
talking
that.
like of this. And I'm just like, wow, dude, that's strange to me.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, he was like, I'm like, and he went on for like 10 minutes
Wow.
at least. And I asked him after the call, I'm like, what the hell was that? And he's like, oh, he's speaking in tongues. And I'm like, what do you mean speaking in tongues? And he's like, oh, that's what happens when you're possessed by the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, I'm trying to make this logical some way or another. I'm like, so how does that happen? He's like, oh, well, the Holy Spirit possesses you. And I'm like, so every day, every Saturday at 3:30, the Holy Spirit knows to come down and make sure he can do that? It seems kind of like a farce to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Or contrived
it's
or
just
artificial. Yeah, I agree.
But you can't convince them.
Right. That's true.
And so, but I thought it was interesting. And then also, I listened to your modern day debate with that little girly guy. What was his name? Mouthy something?
Mouthy Infidel.
Dude, the first thing I noticed about that guy, besides his horrible posture, dude, this dude is flicking his hair more often than any woman I've ever seen in my life.
Meaning he did with his fingers or with his neck, like snapping his head around.
Yeah, no, he kept like pulling his hair behind his ear with his fingers.
Oh yeah, he did.
Dude, it was so distracting. I couldn't even hear what he was saying.
That's
like,
really funny.
I was trying to be objective.
Yeah.
Like I knew I don't agree with the guy.
Right.
But I always find it useful when they're at least willing to sit down and have a cordial conversation.
Right.
So I'll give them points for that for sure. But man, it was so feminine to me, Hank. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And he's so long-winded.
Right.
Like the liars, they have to use so many words, and you're like, well, this is wrong because of this. And if you don't see it that way, that's fine, but you're wrong.
Right.
And these guys will go on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I know. And he's bringing up stuff that's irrelevant. He Mouthy Infidel, nice guy, but people keep on saying make his bed. His bed ain't made. Good thing I don't broadcast from my room.
That was. But one thing that I found interesting, I thought it was funny that you said he was nice, and somebody said something. I can't remember. I think I know who it was, but I don't want to mention names on your show. I'm not trying to promote other people.
Sure.
But he said there was a passage in the Bible that treat others how you want to be treated and love your neighbor as yourself or something.
Yeah.
And he said nowhere in either one of those statements does it say anything about being nice.
Right. Yep.
Nice
is not good. Nice is not good.
Yeah, I don't want people to baby me when I'm going through something, so I don't do it to others.
For sure.
That doesn't make me mean. I'm just treating them how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
So
Black Stepdad says, Hake, you brought up a great point about those socialists. They are too wrapped up in thinking and not doing. Yeah, they're not leaders. And you're right. That whole mindset is an effeminate mindset. It is feeling sorry for people, coming up with a fake definition of what justice and injustice is, undermining the definition of theft and of your right to property, the notion of your right to property. It's a satanic turning things up over on their head, forgetting right and wrong, and just redefining everything type of mindset where you cater to people who you think are inferior, like the blacks or the so-called poor or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the bias of soft expectations or something like that.
Yeah.
But one thing I notice about, the quote-unquote socialist, I can't believe they call it, like, they find communism or Marxism to be taboo, at least not enough to put it in the mainstream like AOC.
Yeah.
But the socialism word they're fine with, even though the word Nazi is an acronym. It says National Socialist German Workers Party. Like the Nazis were socialist.
Okay. Right. Yeah,
but,
they were nationalists. They were more nationalist, though.
But it
and
was
they
really
hate the
union
nationalist
organized,
part.
like a workers thing.
Yeah, it was. Was it really an acronym? I thought it was just a NA for nationalist, Z for Zionist.
From what I understand,
No, I'm kidding.
And I've Googled it before. I don't know how useful that is, but it stands for National Socialist German Workers Party when it's translated to English.
Oh.
That's what Nazi stands for.
Oh, okay. Huh.
But And I find that socialism is really, it's an ideology of the egotistical.
Yeah.
Because they think that somehow, in the last 2,000 years of history, they figured out something that nobody else could figure out, and they're just they got these great ideas that have never been tried. In reality, it's like, where are you going to find these moral avatars to carry out this philosophy you have?
Yeah.
Like, humans are flawed.
Right.
I wouldn't
of
trust
course.
Jesse to implement socialism.
Yeah. Because somebody else is going to replace him who's evil. And that's always been the case. Like, even what I hear about South Africa, Nelson Mandela was evil, but he was a little bit more competent. And he set himself up with incompetent people and more evil, even worse, more corrupt people. And so it's inevitably going to be worse. The German translation is Nationalsozialist. Never mind. I better not try. Deutsch is NASDAP. NSDAP is the acronym. So I don't know, man.
Okay.
I don't think that it's NAZI is not an acronym, just so you know. But it's
Really?
yeah. It's the acronym is NSDAP for German. But you're right. It's national.
Okay.
It's officially the National Socialist German Workers' Party. That much is correct. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. So
That's
it's just
good to know.
so it's not an acronym, but it is the official name is National Socialist German Workers' Party.
Right.
And during those times, that was all the rage, and there were more globalist socialists, and what a lot of people liked the Nazis and Hitler, including the leftists, the commies. Like Time magazine had him on their cover, like as Man of the Year. I think like multiple years, unless I'm mistaken. And
yeah, in the 30s.
Yeah, and like the commies, including like some of these dumb communist, not Christian folk singers, they liked the Nazis as well as the commies, and then they switched to only liking the commies after a while.
Well, if you look at what happened between World War I and World War II,
yeah,
because Germany essentially started both of them, and they had their part.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I mean, there's other factors in there, but Germany was heavily implicated in it. And what they did to the Germans in between the wars was, once Germany conceded defeat, they basically kept them from building a military, and they put so many sanctions on their country that they were unable to prosper. And so that's why Hitler was able to build on this descent, because people were doing so badly then. And then you had the Great Depression in America. It was like that all over the world for a lot of places.
Yeah, these globalists are the ones who...
they seen him like... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say these globalists are the ones who set up the misery and really like started these wars, all this mess.
And I don't know if this is true, but I think one of the reasons that these liberal publications gave credence to him was because they felt sorry for the Germans based off of these, what had happened. And one thing I realized about myself is that one thing I noticed is that generally the people that feel sorry for others feel sorry for themselves. So it's easy to have compassion for others when you don't take responsibility for your own actions, so you can't see that they're doing the same thing. So every time I catch myself feeling sorry for somebody, I'm like, do I feel sorry for myself or something?
Yeah, it's a judgment, and it's a female type of a mindset. It's wrong for sure.
Anyways, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but...
No problem, man. It's good to hear from you, Mike.
Hey, you too, man. I hope you had a good holiday.
Yeah, I did. Thank you, man. We'll see you around.
Sure. Have a good one.
All right. Bye. Astute Nomad says, nah, Chanel. So, sie, at least... Sorry, Germans and Austrians. I don't know how to speak Deutsch. So... It's kind of like an abbreviation, Gnat-sea. And now guilt, or no W guilt, no white guilt, I assume, they never called themselves Nazis. Some people say that it was a slur. Isn't that interesting? They slur all the people who are supposedly right-wing, I notice here in America. I was watching a young lady who catches Jesse Lee Peterson. She's a former journalist, and is to this day really a journalist, but an honest one. So maybe I shouldn't call her a journalist, because journalist is probably kind of like a slur, right? I hear.
To this day.
That they slur, for example, that patriot prayer, the religious man, as Trump called him, who was murdered in cold blood, shot in the chest by an Antifa, Black Lives Matter, male feminist, dumb, evil person over in Portland, Oregon, shortly after the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, when Kyle had to defend himself against 3 commies, right? Or more than 3, really. This guy, this religious man, as Trump called him, Patriot Prayer, which is kind of reminiscent, in my mind at least, of the Proud Boys, who they're like out on the street, protesting, standing up for what's right, defending Western civilization, Christianity, America. They love America. They don't hate men. They don't hate white people. And so the left hates them. They call them far right. The New York Slimes, the failing New York Slimes, called this guy far right. They said Antifa supporter shot or was captured by the feds, right? Well, he was really shot by the feds, reportedly, and killed. Like a 53-year-old snowboarding with a daughter, male feminist, evil guy. We got one right here. We got a Trump supporter right here. We got one right here. Shot him in the chest. It was on video. Well, at least the audio portion of it was on video. It was kind of far away. And killed him. Murdered. And then he went out on the run. But they called him an Antifa supporter. And then they called the guy who got murdered a far right. Far right? It's not far right. You're far left. Anyway. Hake looks tan /sunburn, says, notices Clovera. Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I got some sun over the weekend. I saw it from Anomaly. I saw it from Anomaly that you should get some sunshine. It's good for you. Like I needed to be told that, but it was a good reminder. Shout out to Anomaly. Your girlfriend with the super chat states or asks, why does Hake say Gnat-sea? G-N-A-T, Nat. C-S-E-A. I'd say that because it's kind of funny to pronounce it that way. It's kind of like the great Ann Coulter's book, Can a Woman Be Great? I think so, right? She has a book that some think is Adios America. No, it's not Adios America. It's Adios America. And it's not Adios America. No, it's Adios America. Because you say it the American way. Literally, she said that. Literally. She's it's Adios America. That's the correct pronunciation of my book, she stated. And that's the book that our real president, Donald J. Trump, once a president, always a president, read. That showed him what the crisis is at the border. That we have drugs, crime, rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Adios, America. So, yeah. And that's why I say Los Angeles. Because I have an affinity for the people who pronounce things like that. Nice. And Nevada. Right on. Thank you, your girlfriend. That's why I say Nazi. Just to kind of mock it. Because all this melodrama about Nazis, when we have commies overrunning, and commies have disrupted America and caused all these issues. And by the way, I have this book cover from this woman, Ann Coulter. Did I put it in the folder? Ann Coulter book. This is just a side note. Shout out to your girlfriend. This is a side note. She had this book, and we meaning Jesse Lee Peterson, I was producer at the time, interviewed Ann Coulter on her book titled In Trump We Trust. E pluribus awesome. She writes all these books, right? And so this was a book that she came out with around the time of 2016, 2017, something like that. either right before or right after we elected him, our real President Trump. And she's all, in Trump we trust. But what's the real line? In God we trust. And the real line is e pluribus unum, out of many one, meaning we're supposed to be united. We can't be united if we're all this diversity stuff and everybody keeps their fake cultures rather than adhering and assimilating to civilization and loving instead of hating and blaming, falsely blaming white people, right? And so it's e pluribus unum. But it's interesting that she replaced God with Trump. Wow. Maybe that's why she kind of was all, Hake, you're such a boomer. She was all into him, and then she kind of turned on him. Remember, she got kind of, well, you guys kind of agree with her. I suppose I appreciate some of the complaints. But she seemed to be like kind of turn on him. And didn't Cernovich write something like MAGA Mindset? I think he wrote a book called MAGA Mindset. Because he wrote Guerrilla Mindset and then he wrote MAGA Mindset. So these people might have been a little too into Trump and then they turned on him. I still really love and appreciate both of those guys. Guys and gals is what guys means, right? So, anyway. Meanwhile, the people who have been consistent on appreciating Trump for what he is rather than what they wish that he was or imagined that he were, they're still with him. He's still the best man for the job, I say. Not that I'm pushing for him to run. Either way, I support him. Okay, another super chat. Bhad Bhibby 42. Like bad baby, B-H-A-D. Bhad Bhibby 42 with a super chat on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. How about them Sideburns, Hake? Let's get a check. 11 days left, homie. $100 donation to Bond on the line. Happy New Year, brother. Well, he didn't say brother this time. But it reminds me of Hulk Hogan for some reason. Can you see him at all? Can you see the sideburn? I don't know. Did I mess this one up a little bit? I can't tell. And then here's the other side. It doesn't look too bad, I guess. Looks okay. Looks almost kind of like natural. It's hard to do sideburns and make it look like it just grew like that naturally, you know, because it didn't. I mean, it kind of does, but what a mess. I guess that's the point of sideburns is like, it's like men subduing the earth, men subduing the hair on their face so that they cut some of it, but not all of it, and then it's shaped in a correct way. But it's no obvious way to shape a sideburn, so it's weird. What a mess. But thank you, Bhad Bhibby 42. And I can see how having the sideburns kind of complements the, I hate this word, soul patch. Somebody said, hey, soul patch is distracting. You know how the guy kept on pushing his hair back? The guy whom I debated in modern day debate. And so the soul patch is distracting for Misty, I guess. Sideburns are greater than no burns, says Absolute Death. Not bad, Hank, says Lord Bhibby 42. Thank you, man. Get a haircut, James. Okay, so finally, I have to get to this. We're already at the bottom of the hour. That's when the minute hand goes down to the 6, which is 30 minutes in, for an analog clock. Did you know that? A lot of people did not know that, including I myself. Jesse Lee had to tell me about that when I became his producer. I'm like, what's the top of the hour? What's the bottom of the hour? Bottom of the hour is at 30 minutes, Dan, when the hand of the minute hand points down at the bottom. Just so you know. Bobby Rush is a joke. And a fake black preacher. Play clip 11. This is Recall. You may not be familiar with this. This is why I'm showing it to you. And those of you who are familiar with it may appreciate the black entertainment that you're about to enjoy or cringe at. So-called Congressman Bobby Rush. This is from Doug Metaconis on YouTube. I think it was a C-SPAN video from March 28th, 2012. So almost 10 years ago. So-called Congressman Bobby Rush kicked off the House floor for wearing a hoodie. And this is in reaction to the self-defense killing, which this man, this so-called preacher, will falsely call a murder on this House floor, smearing and maligning and slandering the innocent man, George Zimmerman, as a murderer when he did not commit murder. It was a self-defense killing. So Bobby Rush is being all melodramatic, and only because Trayvon Martin, the 17-year-old thug from Sanford, Florida, in the gated community where there had been break-ins and burglaries, who was caught at one point with women's jewelry, like 12 items or 6 items of women's jewelry in his backpack, and a screwdriver that was described as a burglary tool by the police, but they didn't send him to jail or look into it. They caught him tagging on the door of I think he was tagging, that's graffitiing, on the door of a school. He had been suspended, I think, for fighting. His @ was at no limit. Inga, I want to say it so bad. Which I probably could, but I won't, I guess. At no limit Inga, Nigga. That was his Twitter handle or something like that. Did you know that Twitter existed back in 2012? And this guy had photos of himself, selfies, with like holding a pistol, acting like a thug, having a grill, like those, the gold teeth stuff, and smoking pot as a 17-year-old. I hear you're not supposed to do it. I mean, a lot of you guys did that. But he's like a black thug wannabe. And somebody said, "Oh, you a hoodlum." "No, I'm straight gangsta." One of his friends, like they were messaging each other. So this guy was a thug and a wannabe. A wannabe thug is still a thug. And he attacked, according to George Zimmerman, who is believable, he attacked George Zimmerman. "You got a problem?" "No, I don't have a problem." "You do now." And he starts to beat him up and ground him, pound him. What a mess. Hake should get a grill. Say it. I want to. So that's the context. George Zimmerman is under fire from for being white enough, a white Hispanic, right? Even though he voted for Obama, he tutored black kids. He helped people, and he was looking out for the community. And here's evil Bobby Rush being evil, a Democrat, a black, with his gaunt, skinny, feeble self, kicked off the House floor 10 years ago almost for wearing a hoodie. Watch this. It's like 2 minutes long.
Is indeed an American tragedy. Too often, this violent act that resulted in the murder of Trayvon Martin is repeated in the streets of our nation. I applaud the young people all across the land who are making a statement about hoodies, about the real hoodlums in this nation, particularly those who tread on our laws, wearing official or quasi-official clothes. Racial profiling has to stop, Mr. Speaker. Just because someone wears a hoodie does not make them a hoodlum.
He took off his
The
blazer
Bible teaches us, Mr. Speaker,
exposed the hoodie, put the hoodie over his head.
The member will suspend.
These words,
the member will
these
Bible.
words, he has shown you, old man,
The member will
what is
suspend.
good,
The chair must
what
remind
does
members
not,
that
what
clause
does the
5 of
Lord
Rule
require of
17,
you, but to do
member is out of
justly
order.
and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God.
You don't know
And
God.
in the New Testament, Luke 4:18-20 teaches us these words. The Spirit of the Lord is
gentleman will
upon me
suspend.
because he has anointed me to proclaim the good news to the
gentleman
poor.
will suspend.
He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners
Member is
and the
not in
recovery
order.
of sight to the blind, to set the oppressed free. I urge all who hear these words to heed these lessons. May God
The member
bless
is no
Trayvon
longer
Martin's
recognized.
soul, his
The
family.
member is no longer recognized.
He didn't have family. Thank you.
The chair will ask the Sergeant at Arms to enforce the prohibition on decor.
No hats.
The chair must remind members that Clause 5 of Rule 17 prohibits the wearing of hats in the chamber when the House is in session. The chair finds that the donning of a hood is not consistent with this rule. Members need to remove their hoods or leave.
Or leave. Tackle that male, not a man. Where's his grape drank? No, it was Arizona watermelon cocktail. Watermelon. It was not tea. It was not tea, and it was not grape drank. But he had Skittles. Oh, yeah, to make, what was that stuff called? Purple drank? Or to enhance the high from taking a cough medicine. I just noticed that Bobby Rush, he talks through his nose. It reminds me of that guy from Gavin McInnes's show who imitates Jesse Lee Peterson. It's actually a better imitation of Bobby Rush than it is of Jesse Lee Peterson. You guys know who I'm talking about? Who's the guy? What's the guy? It's like an Asian or a Filipino guy or something. Ryan, who is, I guess he's a producer or something for Gavin McInnes. And he does a face swap thing. So he has like what looks like Jesse's face, Jesse Lee Peterson's face. Has you guys ever seen this on like YouTube and stuff? It's from censored.tv, Gavin McInnes' show. And we saw Ryan. Is that out? It's public, where the interview with Jesse with the other young man, and he brought Ryan on too. Oh, you might not have. Did you see that? Oh, okay. I don't know. I think it's up. Man, I'm blanking on the name of that. Let me see my YouTube. Yes, it's up, says Nick. Remind me what the name of that show is, because I would like to. Matt Andrews' show. Yeah. Yeah, Matt Andrews brought on Jesse Lee Peterson for an interview. He's a college student. Smart young man. And he brought, as a surprise, Matt Chats is the name of the YouTube channel. Matt, 2 T's, Chats. Cool. And it's like one of the best imitations of JLP, which they're all pretty bad. Anyway. But it just reminds me that's how Bobby Rush really talks. What a mess, huh? That was 10 years ago. You know what's stupid? NPR says Representative Bobby Rush's hoodie moment recalls his own family tragedy. It's all politics. Yeah, it is all politics. Frank James of NPR writes, the episode has deeper meaning when you recall that Rush, Bobby Rush, also lost a son to gun violence. No such thing. Huey Rice, age 29, was shot to death in 1999 by strangers. Strangers? Is that like teens? Were they white on a Chicago street? I don't think that they were probably white. And I don't think that he was shot because it was a hoodie. But there's this whole speculation. Oh, just because he's black and wearing a hoodie, George Zimmerman thought he was suspicious. No, maybe because this young thug, Trayvon Martin, might have been acting suspicious in some way. You're the one profiling the white enough to be hated Hispanic George Zimmerman. Peruvian, right? What a mess. Terrible. So Bobby Rush says, I'm not retiring. I'm entering a new level of my life. Bobby Rush is to relinquish his 30-year hold on his House seat per Politico. No, he's retiring. I have these clips from clip 12. Might as well play these just to give you a little background on this sleazy sleazebag, so-called congressman, Bobby Rush. Is it wrong for me to call him a sleazebag? Sorry, kids. Sorry, adults, parents, guardians. Here's a little report on him, like present day, going to retire, and a little background on him. Clip 12A, about a minute long. Just a little report from this woman, Lynn Sweet, and other news reporters. Listen to this.
Congressman Bobby Rush expected to announce his retirement tomorrow. The 75-year-old has served 15 terms in Congress, representing the 1st District on the city's south side and throughout the southern suburbs.
He is a minister, just so everyone who's listening to us knows this, an ordained minister, and he said he's leaving Congress, going to be very active, wants to continue his ministry, wants to work with youth, wants to tell his story of, I guess we could call it transformation, to give hope to youths who live in the city. And again, if people don't know his remarkable life story, he started out as the co-founder of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther movement and ended up a member of Congress. So going from a 1960s radical to a 15-term member of Congress with a stop in Chicago City Council.
Even worse radical. Even worse radical. And he was in the Chicago City Council, which is, so ridiculous. Ordained minister. On the City Council of Chicago, Chicago is notoriously corrupt. And this male is very corrupt himself. Nobody who's not corrupt would say Trayvon Martin was murdered when you don't even know the reality of the situation. Or you do know, and you're just exploiting the false anger of the blacks. That's not giving hope to blacks. Lying about them, lying about imaginary racism to them, you're evil. Typical female-minded liberal. He's pushing to prove myself, he's pushing some dumb anti-lynching bill. Listen to this clip B, another about a minute-long little clip from this Lynn Sweet woman, who's probably not a Christian. I can't imagine that she is. She's a reporter. Listen to this.
One of the things that he wants to complete is the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. Believe it or not, there is not a federal law against lynching. And Emmett Till is the Chicago youth who at age 14 was murdered in Mississippi. And to make this connection and to connect the dots, the church where Rush is going to make his announcement tomorrow morning that he is retiring from Congress is the church where Till's funeral was held. It was an open casket ceremony because in this age, before video proof of police brutality, that was the only way Till's mother could prove what happened to her son. So it's very symbolic in a sense on point to what Bobby Rush wants to do among the things in his last year in Congress.
First of all, there's no such thing as police brutality. There is a bigger such thing as black brutality. And the Emmett Till, was it a hoax? Misty's calling it a hoax. I don't even know. There's such drama about it. Can you really believe what you're told about the Emmett Till situation? How many decades ago was this? I guess if what we're told is true, Emmett Till was a guy who like whistled or talked or accused of talking to a white woman, and her husband or father and her sister, her brother, like a father and a son, supposedly went and kidnapped this guy and tortured and mangled him and stuff. Who knows? Who knows what the real truth is? Blacks do all kinds of atrocities to one another and to other people, killing them. They have no regard. But no, we want to look over at what two white people did, alleged white people, allegedly did, and dramatize it and start an anti-lynching bill, more federal control over the so-called justice system. No thanks. No thanks. The feds are the most corrupt so-called cops in the policing business, besides the international cops, right? Man, what a mess. What a mess. So black, so phony, an anti-lynching bill. Anyway, here's a little bit more. Here's a news flash. His district is an affirmative action district from the so-called civil rights legislation stuff from way back. Listen to this.
He does want to endorse, not now, the primary's not until June. And there's going to be a lot of people running. I know there are 6 in it already, and I just predict that the people that you see now will not, there will be some, now that it's an open seat, it is a district designed under the Civil Rights Act to yield a black member of Congress. And you have some of the most major figures in Chicago and Illinois politics who live in that neck of the woods. But Bobby Rush does have some sway. If he endorses somebody, it might give them a running start.
Lynn Sweet at the Chicago Sun-Times. Always good to chat with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. While
Terrible.
CPS students...
Terrible. Under the Civil Rights Act, they designed this thing so you can thank this so-called Civil Rights Act. And Republicans touted the Civil Rights Act. I don't think that's a good thing. Have they always been simps for the... What a mess. They designed it so that we could have Bobby Rush be a so-called congressman. Affirmative action. Ridiculous, huh? Am I right? Terrible. Anyway, that's that for Bobby Rush. That woman, Lynn Sweet, doesn't seem like a Christian at all. Civil Rights Act designed that to yield a black member of Congress. Shameful. Shameful. Anyway, you know what else is an insult? I saw this little headline from The Hill. A black civil rights icon is replacing a Confederate general statue in the U.S. Capitol. Capitol, that's the Capitol building, which was invaded by the Trump supporters. Mary McLeod, M-C, capital L-E-O-D, McLeod? Bethune will be the first black person to represent a state in the National Statuary Hall collection of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Affirmative action again. She will be replacing a statue of Confederate general, an American hero probably. I had not heard this name before because I don't know history. Shame on me. Edmund Kirby Smith. Wow. Would you Google a picture of Edmund Kirby Smith for me? I am ill-prepared. But this Mary McLeod Bethune, Edmund Kirby Smith, Kirby with a K, Edmund with M-U-N-D. Mary McLeod Bethune, 1875 to 1955, American political figure, American educator, philanthropist, humanitarian, and civil rights activist. All sounds pretty horrible to me. We're just upending our American heroes and replacing them with black females or female-minded liberals. She met with Eleanor Roosevelt. Oh, terrible. Am I right that that's terrible? I think it is. To raise funds for a school for boys. A trailblazing educator. There's the hero who has been replaced. General Edmund Kirby Smith, senior officer of the Confederate States Army, commanded the Trans-Mississippi Department, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, Western Louisiana, Arizona Territory, Indian Territory. Prior to the American Civil War, which is the War of Northern Aggression, more properly titled, right? Because Lincoln didn't want the South to be able to secede. This man, Edmund Kirby Smith, served as an officer in the U.S. Army. But loyalty to states was important back then. Loyalty, period, was important back then. It's not important anymore. All kinds of turncoats and backstabbers nowadays, including America on itself, or the establishment against the people, right? Eleanor was kind of cute, says Chat Monkey. What? You think so? Cute like your grandma or something? I don't know, man. He surrendered his army at Galveston, Texas, the last general with a major field force. Escaped to Mexico and then to Cuba to avoid arrest for treason. Who would charge them with treason? Only the scum of the earth would charge them with treason, really. If anybody was treasonous, it was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, on principle, like the North was more treasonous because they were betraying the right of the South to secede. Or am I wrong? What a mess. His wife negotiated his return during the period when the federal government offered amnesty to those who would take an oath of loyalty. After the war, he worked in telegraph and railway industries, served as a professor of mathematics, nice, at the University of the South in Tennessee. Huh. Seems I see nothing wrong with him. Nicknames Ted and Seminole. Why should he be replaced? Terrible, huh? So wrong. Somebody's talking trash about Eleanor. Eleanor Roosevelt, she looks like she ate all the ribs, and Big Mama came around and ate Eleanor and the tablecloth. Terrible. That's wrong. Anyway. See, but I see that as an insult. The blacks are getting so kissed up to, and they're never going to be happy. They're still not happy. What a mess. You know, I think about how George Washington has had his name dragged through the mud. Look, think about it. The Washington, D.C., a horrible city to live if you're in the black area or have to go through the rough area, the high crime area. Some of it's very fancy and very rich. I was watching a throwback archive Sunday service from January 2013 from the Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. You can also listen to the audio podcast. And JLP, the preacher, right? He was talking about how Sean Hannity had this special called Boomtown USA way back then. And it was talking about how these politicians and people in Washington, D.C., the federal employees or whatever, and lobbyists and all these people are just getting rich off of America while America declines. It's shameful. And that's Washington, D.C. is named after George Washington. The Washington Compost is named after, effectively, George Washington, or the Washington, D.C. What a shame, huh? Even Washington State is very hit and miss, mostly miss. Terrible. Would you like your name to be dragged through the mud? Oh, I want everything to be named after me, and then it's just going to be tossed to the side and squandered and turned to mess. Turn to number 2. Terrible, huh? Speaking of terrible, a couple more things in the last few minutes of this first hour here before I get to some nice Christmas music. It'll be nice. Look at this. This is from CNN, a little headline. I don't know anything about it, and I may be mispronouncing this. And I hope that it's not in America. I don't know, though. No, I don't think it is. I think it's in New Zealand. But it's a white country, right? Quickly, communist CNN celebrates the historic Māori journalist becomes the first person with facial markings to present primetime news. And it is ugly. You've seen, recently I've been seeing these Indians, like American Indians, I think, or, they call them indigenous people, right? Maori. And they have all these tattoos, like these tattoos on their chin. And these are women, like destroying what little bit of beauty that they had by having this distracting thing on them. And I know it's their culture, whatever, but it doesn't look right. It doesn't seem right. Cape Town, etc. Journalist makes headlines. My gosh. It looks like she's just slobbering black tar out of her mouth and lips even. Her lips are... I know this is not the best picture because you can't really, even if you zoom in on it, it's all like pixelated. But this woman, she's changed the face of television. First person with Maori facial markings to host a primetime news program in New Zealand, 37-year-old Orini Kaipara. She would be like mildly attractive were it not for like this devil drool type. I'm sorry. I know it's... She even put it on her IG. I mean, of course, that's her face anymore. Who did that to her? Who did this to you? If I were like her older brother. What's her name again? or Orini, Kai Para, Para. Orini Kaipara, 37 years old. And she posted this on her Instagram. Made history in 2019 as the first woman with a moko kawe to anchor a mainstream news bulletin, TVNZ, New Zealand. According to CNN, these facial markings are tattooed on the chin of women in the tradition of the Maori people, indigenous of what is now New Zealand, right? And she got her moko, not to be confused with snot, as a reminder of her power and identity as a Maori woman. It's not fake. Ooh, there's another shot of her. She got tattoos even on her hand and on her hand and forearm. Terrible, huh? Terrible. What do people do to themselves? I mean, I think that's... Am I wrong for thinking that's... Doesn't seem right. People get the wrong idea. I think it's a flaw of the culture, right? Am I wrong? I think that it's... Somebody said the new normal, Beetlejuice. Terrible, huh? She has got some backlash. This is not cute or professional. Looks like a beard, somebody said. Why do you do that to your face? Those comments were tainted as disrespectful to the culture. And respect were brought to the forefront of the discussion. But, I don't know, it's kind of like baiting us. Are they baiting us to say something bad? And then, oh, look at those racist white people. She got her moko, which, what is the moko? Like the snot that comes... M-O-K-O, okay? It's not the Mexican word, moco. In January of 2019, what is the moco? I'm sorry, people. What is a moco? Maori. I'm sorry, it's distracting to me. Yeah. I don't know. She might have done this late in life. I know there was a 12-year-old girl who is now like 19, and she's a model. She was featured by Elle, E-L-L-E. And she has these markings similar, except it's a little bit more dainty and just whatever. But it still doesn't look quite right. It looks kind of aggressive. But it's kind of late to be getting that tattoo. I don't know. It's kind of messed up. What a mess, huh? Anyway, we're approaching the top of the hour. I guess I'll save this terrible parenting thing for a little bit later. After the top of this hour, you can call in 888-775-3773. But first, I have actually a kind of a long song. It's a Christmas song. It's from Sufjan Stevens from the 2003-ish. It's when I got it. It's for free, I think. Hark! Songs for Christmas. And it is still Christmas, even though it's January 4th. In a couple of days will be Epiphany, which is when the wise men saw the sign that Jesus was born. And so they traveled from the east, traveled from afar, the three kings from the Orient. Which is also Armenian Christmas, I hear. So anyway, what child is this anyway? That's the name of the song. Enjoy, and I'll be back for hour 2. Hang tight, guys.
is this who laid to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping? When angels greet with anthem sweet, while shepherds watch our keeping.
Isn't this nice? There's a crayon drawing of a Christmas tree, pencil and crayon, on this cover art, and somebody said Joe Biden's son did this cover art. Yeah, I'll just talk over it for a while, I think. Isn't it nice, though? Sufjan Stevens, he's a liberal. Sing along. Oh, come on. I'm trying to pull up some of my screenshots. Not bad, but boring, says Chat Monkey. Remember when this guy sang, whoa, it's the Hake Report, la la la, says fan of the ladies. Hake did the cover art, Misty says. Hake's still waiting on Santa to come. Hake's celebrating Christmas like it's his birthday. Kind of weird. I I guess. Malkuth X says, the three kings are the three stars in the belt of Orion, plainly observable in the night sky. By the way, shout out to Rick from Maine. Forgot to get back to you, man. He wanted to tell me about the 5G stuff. But yeah, I saw the Belt of Orion over New Year's, on New Year's Day. Just after midnight. I stayed up till midnight, past midnight. Well, Merry Christmas, guys. Hake, nice music. Please stop. Wait, stop talking? Or stop playing music? Well, guys, thank you for bearing with me through that. What a nice treat from that lib. The song isn't bad. The audio quality is garbage. This audio sounds horrible, says Hate Speech. You know what? I dragged in... let me just quickly show you one more time this lady. I think I dragged in a couple more screenshots. It's just called Screenshot, a couple of them. From this woman with her... she even tattooed her lips, it looks like. And you can see it a little bit more zoomed in. It doesn't look like dribble from when you get close. It looks like an actual design, which I suppose that makes it a little bit better on this woman's face. That, that Māori or whatever they called her from New Zealand. This crazy woman. Well, I call her crazy. If indeed it was her idea to do this, I don't know. Do you see those? There you go. Yeah. And I have a zoomed in version of her face in the next screenshot of that same picture. See, there's a little design there. She's mildly attractive. If you get used to that blight. Whatever. I'm not in New Zealand. I don't have to look at her. To me, it's like an in-your-face type of thing. In your face to the white people. Let's throw this in your face and bait you to say something negative. Hey, a soul patch is just a hairy lip piercing. No, it's not a lip piercing. Oh, is my soul patch as bad as this woman's tattoo thing? Oh, man. Is it that distracting? Terrible. And you know what? Terrible parenting. Let me show you this little headline. Anderson Cooper. The guy... No comments. Anderson Cooper is going to be hosting a show on CNN Plus called Parental Guidance. I can't imagine Anderson Cooper, who came out as a radical homosexual. It's a new parenting show. Talk about in your face from the radical homosexual. This guy is, what is he, quote unquote, does he think like he's married? Let me look this up. Anderson Cooper. Married? Question mark? Let me just turn this off. Take that part off. But parental guidance? This guy is not a father. Not a real one, anyway. I mean, unless they use artificial insemination or something like that, using his seed. But, let's see. Yeah, he has one child. So he's going to host a parenting show with a declining setting a good example of a declining population and being a radical homosexual. Yeah, good idea, CNN Plus, Commie Nonsense Network. I think that is a good name for CNN. I feel like it's a little bit silly, like it doesn't hit hard enough, but I guess that's what it is. It's commie, and it's nonsense, and it is a network. Isn't he gay? Yeah. I know, I didn't want to call it that. Red-blooded Republican ex-Trump supporter. Oh, he's an ex-Trump supporter now. I shouldn't have unbanned him. No, I'm playing. Yeah, Gloria Vanderbilt's child. Well, he's not a child anymore. In the inside, he is. 54-year-old child, but degenerate. Has received several awards from the LGBT so-called rights organization. GLAAD. GLAAD. It's terrible. Yeah, back in 2012, he came out of the closet. thinking that was a good idea. Nope, it was not a good idea. Be a Christian and get past that mess. Terrible. Have some shame, have some respect, have some dignity, right? I bet he'd like Hake's music, says Raj Laser. What's up to the Twitch people, the Twitch team? Anyway, let me get to a call. I'll get to John in Kentucky. He's on the line. What's up, John? How are you doing? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
I'm doing good, and I don't celebrate that, man. I already told you that.
Not even New Year?
I can't celebrate it. In my culture, I can't celebrate it because it's not important.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not important.
If it's not important, then why is it you can't celebrate it? Why not? Why isn't it you can if you want, but it's not a big deal?
Well, that ain't what I called about. I mean, you always
no
get
problem.
me off on this Israelite stuff, but I was just listening to you bash that lady with the tattoo on her chin, and I just want to know, why are you so worried about her culture? That's her culture. You're trying to make her fit into a white person's, like...
Is she not trying to fit into a white person's culture by becoming a newscaster?
No. How
newscasting is white.
Listen, everything's not white.
She's in the white culture.
Hey, everything's not white. See, that's part of that superiority complex.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Who started newscasting?
I don't know.
See?
You tell me.
All of a sudden, you don't know.
You tell me.
I assume that it's whites. I don't know, though, either.
Okay, you assume, so you don't know either. But it really
she's
doesn't
in
matter.
New Zealand.
It just...
And
so?
If this thing is called the Moko, she just did this 2 years ago.
Okay.
It's not like she was raised in this culture and now she's like, hey, can I do this? No, she's invading our culture.
What's her invading your culture? Goodness gracious. Well, who cares, first of all? You know, there's people in Africa and everything who have their own culture. They put bones in their nose. They put plates in their
lips. And they don't try to be a newscaster on a white
China.
Country, in a white Christian country, by the way.
Hey, people are going to get so tired of white people trying to make everybody else be like them.
No,
Nobody
it's everybody else trying to tell whites what to do. That's what's happening.
Y'all had the power for many of years, and now it's slipping away from you.
To your own detriment.
Every you can say that if you want to. That's through your eyes.
No, it's the reality. No, it's reality.
It's not through my eyes. It's not through my eyes.
Because your eyes are blind.
It's not through that lady's eyes with that tattoo on her lip either.
Obviously not.
She don't care what you feels about her. She don't care what you feel about her.
I question her eyesight if she thinks that looks good.
Well, hey, see, that's the thing though. Who sets the standard of beauty? White women?
No, if she didn't have that tattoo, she'd be beautiful.
It's through your white eyes.
Yeah, I mean because I'm not putting mess on my body.
Yeah, but see, that's
except
in your
for the
culture,
soul patch. But I mean, this is just. I thought it was funny.
That's your culture, man. You got to quit trying to put your culture off on others.
It's civilization,
man. Look,
a lot of people. Culture is something to be overcome, not to use to overcome the whites with, because culture is not a positive thing.
It is a positive thing.
No, it's not.
Man.
You just rejected.
Everybody should not be the same. Everybody should not be the same.
You reject Christmas. Because Christmas
who cares about Christmas?
Because Christmas is culture.
Not important.
Because I know, but you're rejecting
Christmas
culture.
Is your culture. It's your culture.
It's yours too, but you just don't want to accept it. Because you
it's
are
not my culture.
Yeah, it is. You are a black American.
It's a white holiday. It's a white holiday.
Were you raised Christian?
Yeah, but that's because
that's your culture. You rejected your culture.
That's because my parents were raised Christian. My grandparents were raised Christian. My great-grandparents were raised Christian.
Exactly.
That's because y'all put it. That's because y'all put it on us.
And you should thank us for it.
That stuff is over and done with.
And you should thank us for it.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
That stuff is over and done with.
But no, you're making America over and done with.
I was about to ask you about that. Listen.
And by the way, according to Nick, who knows, there is no Maori warriors.
Oh, my goodness.
Most people go back to their fake roots as a spite of the civilized culture they were adapted into. Nick,
get off Google.
No.
Get off Google.
No, he's not on Google. He He uses the startpage.com on the Brave browser, or maybe something else.
Never heard of it.
Because Google is evil. It's fake news.
But
no, I don't know. He might have used Google.
You like to ramble.
Go ahead.
That lady, dang, hey, you need to quit cutting people off all the time, man.
Yeah. New Year's resolution.
New Year's resolution? Oh, okay, good. Yeah. And look, also a New Year's resolution can be complain about black people half the time instead of 90% of the time.
You're just sensitive because I only do it half the time.
I'm not sensitive.
Yeah, you are. You're just sensitive. I only do it half the time, not 90.
I guarantee you your next story will be complaining about a black person.
Let me look. No, I'm actually...
you got to check.
I'm actually praising a couple of blacks in my next story.
Jesse and who?
No, neither. Not Jesse. It's a couple of NFL and NBA players who don't want to get the vaccine.
Kyrie Irving, okay.
Well, not specifically.
Like
I'm not naming them, but yeah, Kyrie Irving, and there's a guy named, a Christian man named like Jonathan or something, Jonathan Isaac. You like him?
Is that football?
I think if I'm correct on this
NBA.
name.
That's NBA. That's
yeah,
NBA.
He's a Christian, young man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those guys aren't, the far left, black-hearted, evil Atlantic is mad at the independent thinkers, if you will.
But hey, I can guarantee you that them guys only agree with you about that stance. They don't agree with you about all this other
they don't have
stuff
to.
you talk about every day.
But I'm not complaining about them.
You complain about blacks
I would say,
day. They're blacks. They're blacks.
Right. What about it?
You complain about them every day. It's just that they agree with you on this one stance,
right?
Which a lot of black people do, and you talk about praising them. If they got a tattoo on their lip, you probably talking about how crazy they are.
Well, they look crazy,
and that beautiful lady from New Zealand.
She is pretty, but that part is not pretty.
She's beautiful. She's beautiful.
Yeah, how about that part? You like that part?
I actually don't.
Yeah, see?
But I'm not in their culture either.
I know, but New Zealand...
If you go to the Samoans, man, them people have their own culture. Them people are beautiful people too, but they're not white.
Yeah, that's fine.
You probably got a problem with it since they're not white.
Whatever. You're trying to mind read me. Are there any white beautiful people?
Man, I used to think it was until I found out y'all had recessive genes and everything y'all got was from us. So
nothing wrong with recession?
Yeah. That's Trump.
Well, you act like you know science.
Listen, I did study Mendel's theory in 8th grade. So I have some knowledge on that. I don't know what you call it. It's like I don't know what you call it, but I do understand recessive and dominant traits. I do understand it to a point.
And what relevance is that?
Traits.
And what relevance is that? All of a sudden, that's so important that makes you see beauty as not beautiful anymore.
Because white people try to set the standard to what beauty's supposed to be. Growing up,
we don't try.
TV,
we don't try.
Everything was about the long, flowing blonde hair was beauty, and the colorful eyes was beauty. Nobody cares about that because I see beauty in my black women.
Fine.
They got nice shapes, full lips, beautiful, beautiful shiny skin. I mean, I'm just telling you what beauty is to me.
Right.
It ain't all about what you see.
I wouldn't want you to be trying to get with a white woman. I'm just saying that all of a sudden you're saying that they're not beautiful when plainly people can see that they are beautiful.
Yeah, it's some beautiful white women. Don't get me wrong.
There.
But what I thought was beauty isn't really beauty.
But you're on a trip.
I'm not on a trip, Hake. I just got out of the funk of the way y'all think, man. I was stuck in the way y'all think, and I'm glad I got out of it.
But now you're stuck in the way y'all think,
and I'm fine with it.
It's not an independent. It's not a true. You're not a true your own man. The theme of
I am my own man.
No, you're
I'm not
not,
gonna celebrate Christmas because y'all tell me to.
I wouldn't want you to do it just because we tell you to.
That's what you're saying. You said I'm American. I'm supposed to celebrate a white man coming down a chimney giving gifts. That makes no sense.
That's Jesus. It's Jesus coming into the world.
Say what now?
It's celebrating Jesus coming into the world. God sent Jesus, his son.
If Christmas was only that, it would be okay. But Christmas is about elves, reindeer, Santa Claus, the North Pole.
You got a mess.
That's the pagan stuff, hey. That's all the pagan stuff.
Nothing wrong with pagans.
If it was only
That's
about
their
Jesus
culture.
if it was only about Jesus coming into the world, that'd be different. That's a different story. But
then why don't you just only celebrate that aspect of it?
I mean, I do,
right.
but I don't celebrate what you celebrate. I don't celebrate putting a tree up with the lights, the silver and gold. I don't celebrate that because the Bible tells me not to.
All right.
So I can't go against it.
Was basketball forced on the blacks too? Because that was invented by the white man.
Yeah, it wasn't forced. It was once we saw I forgot the guy's name who invented it, but once we saw that it was a sport, we started to play it too, and we saw that we were way better than y'all at it.
No, just fancy.
Huh?
I said just fancy, entertaining with it.
No, not fancy.
Jungle ball.
Better. Oh, that's racist, Hake.
It's not racist. It's funny. It's cool.
Jungle ball?
Yeah, it's wild.
No, that's racist. No, that's racist.
It's not racist, man.
Jungle. Hey, come on, man.
Jungle.
What do you associate that with?
Because African jungle.
But see, that's
whites didn't come from the jungle.
Africa just ain't a jungle. Listen,
I know it's not all just a jungle, but it's like jungle ball.
Y'all play boring.
Yeah, straightforward, just the basics.
Like stuck up, stiff.
You're calling us stuck up, but that's your projection.
Non-athletic. Y'all do layups, we do dunks. Y'all do layups, we do dunks.
It's just style. But anyway.
It ain't just style. It's just like athletic ability, man. We can fly through the air.
You have supposedly you have like the fast twitch muscles or something. I don't know.
I heard you say that some weeks ago. Man, you just look crazy when you come to.
Is that not true?
You're talking about science, man. I had a white person ask me, does black people have an extra muscle or something in their leg or extra tendon? White people are crazy. White people are crazy when it comes to stuff like that. They really have all these theories. They have all these theories about blacks and.
Do you speak Hebrew?
No, I can't speak Hebrew. I wish I could. I tried to learn on Duolingo on the app, but man, it's just too difficult. It's too difficult. I'm not that smart.
You should do the. You should
doing that.
Are you serious? You should do the. If you're really trying to. Big Bum says, "Say it again. Jungle ball.
What's
jungle
so
ball. Jungle ball.
Cracker ball.
Say again.
Cracker ball.
Cracker. Oh.
Yeah,
like crack the whip.
No, like
you should do do Jesse Lee Peterson's silent prayer, so you remove the distractions, because the distractions and the hardness of your heart. That's why you can't learn.
I already meditate. I don't have to do his prayer.
No, you do the prayer though.
Yeah, his prayer is a meditation because you don't.
No,
say
man,
anything.
It's a prayer. Anyway,
prayer is giving God praise. It's for him to ask for protection over your family, like you silently talk to God, right? But in his prayer, you just don't.
That's
say
not what the Bible says.
Still.
What you just stated is not listed in the Bible.
What do you pray about, Hake, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, I like the Lord's Prayer, and I like the prayer that is mentioned in.
That's not silent.
No, I know, but I like the one mentioned in Timothy that is silent, because we don't know what to pray for, but the Spirit groans with words with groans that words cannot express, something like that.
Oh,
the Spirit prays. The Spirit intercedes on our behalf, because we don't actually know what to pray for.
You do know what to pray for.
You know the basics. Your will, God's will be done. Lead me not into temptation. Your will be done. And you are God. That stuff. But that's basics. You don't need to ask for help for your family.
The silent prayer isn't the only type of prayer. And
no, it's not.
It's not in the Bible.
But it's a good one.
It's not in the Bible.
Yes, it is.
It's not in the Bible.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It does not.
You call it meditation.
Prayer.
You call it meditation, right?
Silent prayer, though.
Yes, it does.
It does not say.
Okay, it doesn't say the words. It doesn't say the words silent prayer. I grant you that.
Right, so it's not in the Bible.
Yes, it is in the Bible. Just because it's not mentioned specifically doesn't mean. Just because it's not mentioned explicitly doesn't mean it's not in the Bible. Jesus
Well,
often
that's
went.
how Jesse does on his show.
Hold on.
That's how Jesse does on his show.
Okay, hold on.
It has to be specific.
No, calm down. The idea is there.
What?
I said calm down. The idea is there. Jesus frequently got up very early in the morning while it was still dark and went off by himself to pray. Yeah. And then also in Psalm 4:4, the one where people think it says be angry but sin not, it says tremble and do not sin. Meditate quietly in your heart on your bed. Doesn't that sound like a silent prayer? If you think that silent prayer is the same thing as meditation.
Yeah, but it doesn't say silent prayer. And
what's your meditation like? I'm curious. Before we go,
advertise this prayer. Y'all say try Jesse Lee's silent prayer. I'm not trying Jesse Lee's silent prayer.
All right, fine. If you want to be hard-hearted, go ahead.
If God says do the silent prayer, I'll try God's silent prayer.
But God speaks through Jesse Lee.
Jesse Lee Peterson.
You wouldn't recognize
right.
God.
Yeah, right. God don't speak to no Jesse Lee Peterson.
Yeah, he does.
He got y'all fooled.
Okay, so last quick question. 30 seconds. Explain to us what your meditation thing is that you do.
It's kind of like a manifestation. You know, if in my personal goals that I have set, I just pretty much sit there and visualize me achieving them, visualize the steps I take to achieving them, and pretty much put them into fruition. You know what I mean? So I can stay focused on what I have to do. That's pretty much what I do.
All right. Well, thanks for the call, John. Happy New Year to you.
No Happy New Year, but all right. We'll see you.
All right, bye. He's all tired. Super chats, guys, before I get back to calls. Lord Bhibby 42 states, I challenge this phony caller, John. Sorry, Lord Bhibby. I didn't mention this when he was on air. To a game of 21 in basketball. Make it, take it, game. Lord Bhibby. Well, thank you. And Bhad Bhibby 42 gave a super chat. Hake, I know I mentioned this about Mark Ruffalo, but I'm almost positive that Anderson Cooper enjoys younger man. That's the closest that you'll get me to saying it, man. I don't want to say that. Anyway, he's saying stuff about the not moral straightness and the unrighteous actions. Let's put it that way. To put it very cleanly, of alleged of these males, these Hollyweird males, huh? Yeah. Ball cracker sounds hurtful. Says, yeah, it does. That's mean. Okay. Let me just double check any other chats that I wanted to mention. Okay. Let me get to William in California before I get to Boomer Bob in Chicago. William, how are you doing?
Hey, good morning, Hake. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you.
How was your Christmas?
It was great, and it's still great because we're celebrating Christmas through Epiphany and maybe until Friday. But
great.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you, man.
Good to hear. Before we go any further, I called you last week and I looked in the chat room. They said, we think this guy is fat. And me and Lord Grimm were on the phone cracking up about that. I said, Lord Grimm, you're 6'6"? He says, yeah, like 6'6", 6'7". He's tall. He's tall young man. And I showed him a picture of one of my Sports Illustrated shoots. This is for the chat room. William is not fat.
I didn't think that you were, but Mays was speculating.
I'm not fat at all, dude. And I got a woman. Yeah, I got a woman, and she's bad.
That's funny.
The guy that's retiring from Congress, it's needed pretty bad. He's been there too long. Lord Grimm and I were speaking about these kind of things last week, and I says, I can tell. He said, when did it start, William? I said, because you were around. I said, I can tell you it started around, I would say 75, 76, 77. That would make me around 17, 18. I said, a lot of these people you're talking about, Maxine Waters, Frederica Wilson, Sheila Jackson, and this guy, they were all going to college under affirmative action, getting their free stuff. And what they did, what they have done, these people are, of course, in their 70s and 80s now. They're infiltrating our educational system, and they are breaking down the black male. And what you end up having is, And Lord Grimm and I were speaking on this one. He says, I never thought about that. I says, no, every time you call from work.
Yeah.
And this guy that just got off the phone, I noticed something. You're not even 50, and you're at home every day.
No, he claims that he calls.
I'm a little bit tired of paying his rent. Yeah, I'm tired of paying. His woman's at work while he's a house husband.
I think he told me that he calls from work on his break or something.
He doesn't call from work. That guy doesn't get. That guy is.
I don't know.
Man, come on.
I can't say either way.
You know, you're.
I'm not necessarily.
Bothered.
I'm not with him on this, John.
I
Just so
want
you
to
know.
take his inventory. Maybe he is, but I can tell you this: he's a little bit too bothered about what this country is doing, and he's living here. You're not browning America. You got another 300 million white people to overcome.
Yeah.
And your Israelites don't have a navy. They don't have a plane, a boat, a ship, an aircraft carrier. You're not going to win.
Don't give him any ideas.
It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. But, you know, to everybody in the chat room, Matt the American, Lord Grimm, everybody that, you know, that has sensible thinking, you know, there's actually more sensible blacks than there are people that act that way. And I know I sent a story to you about a police officer once again getting executed by some young blacks, not even 30 years old.
I think I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be seeking the death penalty for him. Probably because it's on surveillance camera of this woman begging for her life.
Wow.
Not good. Not good.
Terrible stuff in the world.
Well, hey, they got Joe Biden. They think they've arrived.
Nah. Yeah, I mean, they're never happy. They're never content. They're always going to keep on pushing.
Yeah. You think he's going to make it to another 3 years?
I would be a little surprised if he were to make it to re-election, much less to his whole second term. Yeah,
it's a big concern of mine because then you have Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like replacing Bobby Rush. He's going to be replaced with somebody worse.
I think it's like what the vice president, and if something happens to both of them, I think the Speaker of the House, John Kentucky, you didn't know that. The Speaker of the House is the President of the United States.
Isn't that disgraceful? Nervous Nancy Pelosi is the third in line.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Talking about my neighbor growing up.
Make me want to throw up.
Miss Vodka herself.
Vodka? Yeah. Like vodka? Like the alcohol?
Vodka.
Oh.
Yeah, vodka. You know why they drink that? Because you can't smell it. But she's definitely on it.
She acts like it, that's for sure.
She really does, man. I mean, it's coming out of her pores. You can see her shaking and everything. It's like you're shaking like Catherine Hepburn. Yeah, I said it. You and Muhammad Ali and Nancy Pelosi, all y'all shake.
Crazy. Well, she's 81 years old, and she is a leech on society.
Well, she is Frederica Wilson, Sheila Jackson. The list is long.
Yeah.
You got Maxine Waters. All these people were finishing their masters around between 75 and 84.
Okay.
And they have leashed on to everything that they grew up with, which they didn't really have the details in order. They grew up with as teenagers looking at the Emmett Till case. Then they grew up and went to college and used that to ponder racism amongst everybody in separation.
Yeah.
So the game is old. The game is old. And it takes a person like Jesse, like you got to do your own thinking. Wait a minute, where did all this come from? We were pretty much done with all of this just before Obama came. You didn't even hear anything about race. You hear nothing about
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. He came along and what happened?
It came to the forefront, and it has gotten worse only since then.
It became your major campaign
stunt. A big fake thing, too.
Yeah. Oh, like the Crying Negroes Network, CNN?
Yep.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Same thing. You know, but no, I'm not fat. I've only gained 5 pounds since high school. I graduated in 79. I can still run, walk, talk, jump.
Nice.
Everything. So you guys, you know, live your life right, pay your bills, retire, buy some income property, be happy.
Well, I appreciate that, William.
Don't be hostile. Don't be hostile at things that they're not going your way. You have to make your own way.
Yeah. Well, Happy New Year to you, William. Thank you for the call.
Happy New Year to you and everybody else. Take care.
All right. Bye. Boomer Bob is on the line from Chicago, Illinois. How you doing, Boomer Bob?
Good. Thanks for taking my call.
Nice. Yeah, thank you.
And I wanted to kind of challenge your assessment, I think Jesse's too, on America being a Christian nation.
All right.
But before I do that, real quick, that other caller, I think from Kentucky, and why can't we just realize that black folks are superior to us in many avenues, such as sports, entertainment, rhythmic dancing, or whatever, and maybe the whites, well, not maybe, are more gifted at things like STEM, science, technology,
leadership,
fairness, military prowess.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of a silly conversation or whatever. But
I know. I didn't want to give it to him.
Right. That's fine. But the main reason for my call, so my pickle is, how can we as a nation, our culture, it legislates, it authorizes, it elevates and protects, like homosexual sodomy, gay marriage.
Right.
I mean, all this stuff is even legislated. LGBT disfigurations, the fornication culture, baby killing, women usurping the authority of men. And this is nationwide. Yes, there's a collective group of people, perhaps you, me, Jesse Lee Peterson, and maybe 5% of the culture that, is Christian oriented, but the vast overall effect of our nation and its directives is not.
We are a subverted Christian nation. We've been subverted. All those things that you named were not at its founding, definitely.
Oh, I agree.
Even the atheists, if there were atheists among the founders, or deists, or whatever you want to call them. Deist means they believe in a god, right?
Yes.
All the founders, none of them believed in that. And for decades, perhaps even a century or two, I bet you most of America didn't even believe in the stuff that they've pushed on us. But you're right. The masses are becoming more and more corrupt, and have become more and more corrupt. And
just like in the nation of Israel, the founder, Jacob, Isaac, Abraham, Joseph, right? Many years later, they were not the people of God anymore. As a matter of fact,
they worshiped the golden calf. While Moses was away, the Israelites will play.
Right, so you couldn't call them the people of God at that point.
Right.
And just like in the year 70 A.D., God allowed, for whatever reason, for the whole system to be burned. So the point I'm trying to make is, I think I understand what you guys are coming from, but more accurately, you're saying we're a subverted subgroup nation of Christians, I guess, right? Is what.
I mean, we are founded as a Christian nation. Even when they turned away from God, he still called them my people. He just called them a bunch of whores, adulterers. And that's why he made Hosea. Remember, he made Hosea marry this Gomer prostitute woman, and she kept on cheating on him. And God kept on forcing this prophet to take her back as his wife. And that's what God did with Israel, because they were so evil and going after everybody else, every other thing.
But also, I
very disloyal. Very disloyal.
Disloyal, right, subverted.
Yeah.
But in the end, God destroyed the people of the Israel being the people of God's status when the temple was burned down. 1.2 million Jews were killed, all in 70 A.D. When we entered the New Testament or the New Era. So yes, God gave them chances, but ultimately it was destroyed.
Yeah.
So I guess what you're saying then, and now I see a little better.
And he talks about the remnant. The remnant
the
of
diaspora or whatever. But the remnant,
I don't believe in the diaspora. I believe in the remnant of like God's chosen people, which is now like from all nations.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The people of God, or the Israel of God, is not the blood.
Not
line
anymore. Not
of
how
Abraham. It's the people of faith and people that follow the Holy Spirit or whatever.
Yeah.
But, so I guess what you're saying, and I agree, is we're subverted, we're kind of losing, but there's still hope. We always fight for what's right. We fight because our founding, I think, was right. Some people think that our founding was corrupt from the beginning. And there's some people even on the right who generally agree with the principles that I say. Some people say that our founding was corrupt even from the beginning. And there may have been some corrupt people and corrupt influences and acceptances in there. I don't know. But I don't know. I think those were honorable men by and large. And even like the Confederate heroes. As far as the standard of mankind.
Yeah.
If that's your standard, if your standard is God, then corruption, of course. But
yeah.
If the standard is based on mankind, that was about as good as you can get.
Yeah.
Right. So,
because
anyway,
the people pushing for us,
I think a lot.
I say the people pushing for us not to be a Christian nation, or they hate when the people who most hate when we call it a Christian nation are the people who are anti-Christian. That's part of why we push against it like that.
Right. Hopefully, like you and Jesse are saying, we're going to bounce out of this or whatever. And it only takes a few people, just like when Sodom and Gomorrah thing, there wasn't even one righteous person.
There was one, Lot.
Yeah, right.
He couldn't find 10, though. Couldn't even find 10.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So that principle probably still applies in the Christian era. But
even Lot's wife, she looked back. She turned into a pillar of salt. Isn't that a warning?
Yeah,
even Lot's wife was not protected.
And at that point, Lot didn't just give up and say, "Oh man, God, you're mean." You have to keep going, right? And so, anyway, I sense that when people argue with you on this, that I can see why they're arguing because of that laundry list that I gave you at the beginning.
Right.
We are clearly not right now a Christian nation, and we shouldn't boast that we are. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Okay.
Thank you, man. It's good to hear from you, Boomer Bob.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye. Let me quickly get to LIANA in Florida. Or is it LIANA in Florida? LIANA or LIANA in Florida. I know I've heard from you before. I just can't remember how you pronounce it. Thanks for calling. Happy New Year.
Hi, Hake. Happy New Year.
Hey.
I don't really care how it's pronounced.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. I have a question for you. I was listening to the live stream, and it came to conversation. I think it was the Civil War and what happened, and I've been watching so many Civil War movies recently, and I really like the history of it, and I was looking at the parallels, between what was happening back then and kind of what's happening today with, the whole pandemic and how divided our country is over that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, do you think if the South had successfully seceded from the North and they had become two separate countries, do you think that would have made do you think that they would have been better off that way?
I really have no idea because since it's not reality, I can't tell you that it would or wouldn't. It seems like it was a violation of the right of the South, though, to secede, and we would have been two countries. The North would have been their industrial country, and the South would have been the what they were doing with the what is that thing? Working the land?
Agriculture?
Yeah. It would have been tough probably for both, but it would have been for the better in the South's mind, because they would have had their freedom, because they were being imposed upon by the North in different ways with taxes, I hear, and different things like that. And people are trying to say that the Confederates were traitors. That's not traitorous to want to go away from the country. It's in the Constitution that you can do that. So anyway,
right.
I really couldn't tell you. I really don't know, because Satan has his ways. So if he works, I think that it did a lot of damage, though. 600,000, maybe more, men died in those years of the war of Northern aggression. So yeah, I couldn't tell you. I think it probably might have been better, but I don't know for sure. Because, we're playing around with if, and we're playing around with something where we weren't even there to know what was really going on. Who knows what's really going on, So, that's my best answer, LIANA.
No, I just find it interesting because I don't think that the South would have successfully, I don't think they would have been successful on their own, being that they were primarily in agriculture. That was their production.
Uh-huh.
And usually, I mean, I say that because where I'm American now, but I was born in Brazil, and so I know the history a little bit from over there as well. And where I'm from, a state over there, my state, Rio Grande, they also wanted to be their own country at some point.
Yeah.
But they were never successful because they were primarily agriculture, cattle and plantation and things like that. And so I don't think that would. I think maybe they would have broken off and then maybe gotten back together, because I don't think it would have been successful. But because that was Abraham Lincoln's primary focus. I'm sorry, I wanted to finish this point, that Abraham Lincoln's primary focus at that time was to keep North and South together. Yeah, and he thought that it was a good sacrifice on the part of, people that died, or, not just died, people that lost everything they had. Terrible things happened during that time. But he thought it was a sacrifice ready to make, because, we had to keep the whole country together, else the country would have fallen apart.
I don't know if that's true, because those men of the South seemed like they were by and large honorable Christian men, civilized, and people. Is the South still surviving only on agriculture, or have they adapted? People adapt when stuff gets tough. So you can't predict how things might change. You know what I mean? And from what I understand, even slavery itself was on its way out by itself. Had they just left it alone, rather than have a war and to do the Emancipation Proclamation, stealing the slaves away from the slave owners. I think that stuff would have changed naturally. You can't, it's kind of like the shutdowns, the mandatory shutdowns. People naturally will take measures without a law forcing them to do it, or a mandate because it's not a law, forcing them to do it to protect themselves and to show some general respect for the most part, especially civilized people. And the Southerners were quite civilized. Some say that the North was leeching off of the South. Somebody in the chat says that. And Raymond 11 says Lincoln feared the banks, not the South. You're right that it would have made it tougher economically, probably for both countries, both the Confederate States and the so-called United States. But I don't know. You just because it didn't work down in Brazil, what were those people like? Those are not the same people as the people of the South in America 100 years before. You know what I mean? I'm not sure when Brazilians tried to secede, but you don't have. America was founded by people who they came to nothing. They came here and nothing was here. They built civilization. So don't underestimate the power of men to build civilization.
so did people in southern South America. You know, they also went there with nothing, settled to nothing, and they had to create everything from ground up. You know,
but didn't the Brazilians intermix and start to worship other gods rather than the Christian God?
That is true.
It's a totally different culture.
There's an argument for that. Definitely. Yeah. There are some. There is an argument for that. There are some who weren't. Like my family, we are Brazilian, but we don't celebrate Carnival. We don't celebrate anything. Yeah. Really, because it's African, and we don't appreciate that. We don't appreciate the voodoo. We don't appreciate the witchcraft and things. So yeah, there were some that did mix, and they didn't treat the slaves like slaves, and so they mixed, and there were consequences for that. Yeah. So I understand, you know, the history there. You know, there's consequences to everything.
It's honestly really speculation, though, and And the point remains that the South did have the right to secede, and then if it was tough, we don't know what they would have done because that's not what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just wonder if they could have maybe negotiated to, you know, still keep, I guess, their because you know slavery really at the root of it, if you put all of the cruelty aside, at the root of it, it's really you're getting. In exchange for your labor, you're getting food and housing. Right.
Yeah. Right? And it wasn't always a cruel situation.
Of course. Yeah. But the problem is the cruelty. And so I think if they could have gotten it down to its bare bones, which is, you know, food and housing in exchange for labor, maybe they could have been more successful. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I just thought it was an interesting thought.
Yeah. LIANA, is it with 2 N's or 1 N?
It's 1 N.
Okay, nice. I just like to confirm stuff like that. Well, Happy New Year to you. Appreciate you.
Happy New Year. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye. Before I get back to calls, guys, let me tell you about the vaccine refusers. Extremist outlet The Atlantic is mad at the independent thinkers, if you will, of the NFL and Brazil, as in the players, right? Let me see if I have this. Did I even put that in the folder? I might not have. But I think I did, though. Maybe not. But it's crazy because these people, they don't trust it, they don't want it, and they want to control them as if they know that they're going to be spreading it. They're more likely to spread it, marginally so, or more likely to get severe China virus. Give me a break. It's so lame. I saw a headline, I think it was shared on Asmodor's TKR official Telegram. You can follow him there. You can follow me, the Hake Report on Telegram, and Jesse Lee Peterson, JLP Talk on Telegram. Austria is looking for employees who hunt down vaccine refusers. This might have been from somebody else, I'm not sure. Due to compulsory vaccination from February. It's an article from Blick. Austria. What a shame. You blame Netanyahu for that? I don't know if you can blame Netanyahu for that. I think Austria was pretty much set up to be kind of evil. What a shame, huh? It's ridiculous. It's a terrible shame. CNN put out this tweet on January 3rd. People who are overweight or obese are at a much higher risk of much more severe disease and even death from the China virus. And one new study suggests that losing weight can reduce that risk. Duh, that's what we've been all saying. And the article is headlined, "Can weight loss help protect against COVID-19? Marjorie Greene got banned for saying that if you're not over 65 and you're not overweight, you don't suffer from this thing. By and large, right? By and large. Exceptions to the rule. And overweight, I mean, just out of shape, doesn't take much out of shapeness to really suffer from it. So you do have to be in shape. It's more than just about overweight. It's also just in shape in general, cardiovascular health. So anyway, Marjorie Greene got banned from Facebook and Twitter, temporarily from Facebook, like a 24-hour suspension, but permanent ban from her personal account from Twitter. So ridiculous, huh? Children with the China virus. There were a couple of fake headlines. I think I do have this one. Children with COVID. Here's the fake headline from NBC so-called news. Child COVID hospitalizations are up, especially in 5 states. Children have been hospitalized at nearly twice the rate of adults in the past 4 weeks, an NBC News data analysis states. However, here's a note from this person named Offit, O-F-F-I-T. However, we're really not seeing an increase in children who are hospitalized for COVID or in the intensive care unit for COVID. Duh. I knew they were just scaremongering. Because they don't really, by and large, suffer from this stuff. What a shame. Justin in Fullerton, California. Let me get to Justin. How are you doing, Justin?
Hey, thanks for asking. Doing exceptionally well. How are you?
Doing well as well. Thank you, man.
Awesome. I hope you had a good New Year, a good Merry Christmas. I know I did.
Yes. Appreciate it.
Well, here's the question. Is our American culture being hijacked?
Oh, yes, our American civilization is being hijacked and taken over by people pushing false culture on the whites, on the Christians, on the men, and it's being hijacked, yes.
Let's define culture and civilization, shall we?
All right. You wanted to go first?
Because I'm not that intelligent. You should go first.
Okay. Culture is the blacks playing the ooga booga stuff. Civilization is the whites setting up law and order and decency and society that you can function in. You don't necessarily have to lock your doors and watch your back all the time, but you do have to watch your back nowadays because culture is taking over rather than civilization. Culture is all this music and entertainment mess and degeneracy and pushing the first black female this, the first person with the tattoos on their face that, the first radical homosexual this. That's degenerate culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because those were always interesting words to me as a world history civilization major.
Okay.
I was kind of like into that concept, or epistemology too, the study of words. So I know that to be civil is the root word of civilization. Cult is the root word of culture.
Yeah.
Because I'll tie this in.
Culture is like religion. Like we are supposed to have a Christian culture.
Correct. So
cult is not necessarily just bad term of cult, but yeah.
Yes, it's a good term. It was a section, a cult, a culture shift within the Hebrews that followed the Christ Messiah, whatever. So Jesus Christ of Nazareth, that they follow, the world follows to this day, had an impact within European culture, civilization. Those two different terms are hard for me to not use intertwinedly. I know they're separate, but
okay. Here's
what I do remember, and it stuck out to me, and I don't know how it relates to the Native Americans versus the Americans.
We're the Native Americans. We got 2 minutes, man.
Yeah, I know. This is the point. The Native Americans versus the American natives, okay? One word, American natives. They came and brought the, rockabye baby in the treetop concept of how they would, upraise a child. And a woman is working in the field, the Native American would tie a leash type thing on the foot, naked baby. It could do its business. However, in America, the European culture that was brought here was a little unique, right? So I don't know what you define as more civil or more upright, but their culture and their civilization did something different. They brought diapers, cloth. You would let a child do its business, and sometimes you have to tie it up.
Are you high right now?
No, I wish I was high, but I'm just telling you those two distinct things. And today,
well, you got to get to the point, man.
Yeah, so I think that it is hijacked, and basically those strong Christian beliefs, our religions, create a stability or a certain foundation, but the degradation of our society here in our nation seems apparent that it's not so much religion, it's the absence of adopting something that might have been, perceived to be, from their perspective, evil. And so a lot of people
thank you,
reject
man.
Christianity. Yeah.
I appreciate it. It went over my head, but we'll talk again. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you, man. All right.
They have a good day.
You too. And Jeremiah in Louisiana, he had a verse for the new year. I cannot get to you. And the rest of the callers, have a good one, guys. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. TheHakeReport.com, JCLeePeterson.com. Don't forget Men's Forum, first Thursday of the month, first Men's Forum of the year. That's this Thursday, 7 p.m., first Thursday of the month, 7 p.m. at Bond in Los Angeles. Thanks, guys. Take care.